Okay, today we are reading The Blood of Olympus by New York Times #1 bestselling author Rick Roirdan. This is part of the Heroes of Olympus series. The Blood of Olympus is book 5, which is the one that we are reading today. And I haven't actually read on this channel books 1 through 4. I have read books 1 through 4 myself, but that was before I had my YouTube channel, so eventually I will go through and read them. After we actually read each section of like what we read each time I post a video, I'm going to like review what we read, and I'm going to go through and basically be like, this part of this was super good, I really like this part, or I didn't really like this part, it wasn't super exciting, and then I'll say, but I do wish this character could do this, or like something like that. So let's go inside the book. We have the little cover part of it. So this says right inside the book, Nico had warned them, going through the house of Hades would stir the demigods' worst memories. Their ghosts would become restless. Nico may actually become a ghost if he has to shadow travel with Reina and Coach Hedge one more time. But that might be better than the alternative, allowing someone else to die, as Hades foretold. Jason's ghost is his mother, who abandoned him when he was little. He may not know how he's going to prove himself as a leader, but he does know that he will not break promises like she did. He will complete his line of the prophecy. To storm or fire, the world must fall. Reina fears the ghosts of her ancestors who radiate anger, but she can't allow them to distract her from getting the Athena Parthenos to Camp Half-Blood before a war breaks out between the Roman and Greeks. Will she have enough strength to succeed, especially with a deadly hunter on her trail? Leo fears that his plan won't work, that his friends may interfere, but there is no other way. All of them know that one of the 7 must die in order to defeat Gaia, the Earth Mother. Piper must learn to give herself over to fear. Only then will she be able to do her part at the end, utter a single word. Heroes, gods, and monsters all have a role to play in the climatic fulfillment of the prophecy in The Blood of Olympus, the electrifying finale of the best-selling series, the best-selling Heroes of Olympus series. Okay, again, Blood of Olympus. So, and then the next page is just a bunch of other books by Rick Roirdan. And the Heroes of Olympus by the Heroes of Olympus series, book 5, The Blood of Olympus by Rick Roirdan. To my wonderful readers, sorry about the apology for the last cliffhanger. I'll try to avoid cliffhangers in this book, well, except for maybe a few small ones, because I love you guys. And that was a note from Rick Roirdan. And then the next page has a couple lines from the Prophecy of 7. 7 half-bloods shall enter the call of storm or fire, the world must fall. An oath to keep with final breath, and foes bear arms at the doors of death. So again, The Blood of Olympus. They really want you to know the title of this book. So, Chapter 1. Jason. Jason hated being old. His joints hurt, his legs shook. He tried to climb the hills. As he tried to climb the hill, his lungs rattled like boxes of rocks. He couldn't see his face, thank goodness, but his fingers were gnarled and bony, blue veins webbing the back of his hands. He even had that old man smell, mothballs and chicken soup. How was that possible? He'd gone from 16 to 75 in a matter of seconds. But the old man smell happened instantly, like, boom, congratulations, you stink. Almost as if Piper smiled at him. You're doing great. Easy for her to say. Piper and Annabeth were disguised as lovely Greek serving maidens. Even in their white sleeveless gowns and loose sandals, they had no trouble navigating the rocky path. Piper's mahogany hair was pinned up in a braided spiral. Silver bracelets adorned her arms. She resembled an ancient Greek statue of her mother, Aphrodite, which Jason found a little intimidating. Dating a beautiful girl was nerve-wracking enough. Dating a girl whose mom was the goddess of love, well, Jason was always afraid he'd do something unromantic, and Piper's mom would frown down on him from Mount Olympus and change him into a feral hog. Jason glanced up. The summit was 100 yards above. Worst idea ever. He leaned against a cedar tree and wiped his forehead. Hazel's magic is too good. If I have to fight, I'll be useless. It won't come to that, Annabeth promised. She looked uncomfortable in her serving maiden outfit. She kept hunching her shoulders to keep the dress from slipping. Her pinned-up blonde bun had come undone in the back, and her hair dangled like long spider legs. Knowing her hatred of spiders, Jason decided not to mention them. "We infiltrate the palace," she said. "Get the information we need, and we get out." Piper sat down her amphora, a tall ceramic wine jar in which her sword was hidden. "We can rest for a second. Catch your breath, Jason." From her waist, from her waistcord hung her cornucopia, the magical horn of plenty. Tucked somewhere in the folds of her dress was her knife cataptress. Piper didn't look dangerous, but if the need arose, she could dual wield celestial bronze blade or shoot her enemies in the face with ripe mangoes. Annabeth slung her own amphora off her shoulder. She too had a concealed sword, but even without the visible weapon, she looked deadly. Her strong grasp scanned the surrounding, alert for any threat. If a dude asked Annabeth for a drink, and Jason figured she was more likely to kick the guy in the bifurcum. He tried to steady his breathing. Below them, a Athali's bay glittered. The water so blue it might have been dyed with food coloring. A few hundred yards offshore, the Argo II rested at anchor. Its white sails looked no bigger than a postage stamp, and its 90 oars like toothpicks. Jason imagined his friends on deck, following his progress, taking turns with Leo's spyglass, trying not to laugh as they watched Grandpa Jason hobble uphill. "Stupid Ithaca," he muttered. He supposed the island was pretty enough. A spine of forested hills twisted down its center. Chalky white slopes plunged into the sea. Inlets formed rocky beaches and harbors where red-roofed houses and white stucco churches nestled against the shoreline. The hills were dotted with poppies, crocuses, and wild cherry trees. The breeze smelled of blooming myrtle, all very nice except for the temperature was about 105 degrees. The air was as steamy as a Roman bathhouse. It would have been easy for Jason to control the winds and fly to the top of the hill. But no, for the sake of stealth, he had to struggle along with an old dude with bad knees and chicken soup stink. He thought about his last climb 2 weeks ago when Hazel and he had faced the bandit Skyron on the cliffs of Crotia. At least Jason had been at full strength. What they were about to face would be worse than a bandit. "Are you sure this is the right hill?" he asked. "Seems kind of, I don't know, quiet." Piper studied the ridge line. Braided in her hair was a blue harpy feather, a souvenir from last night's attack. The feather didn't exactly go with her disguise, but Piper had earned it, defeating an entire flock of demon chicken ladies by herself while on duty. She downplayed the accomplishment, but Jason could tell she felt really good about it. The feather was a reminder that she wasn't the same girl she had been last winter when they had arrived at Camp Half-Blood. "The ruins are up there," she promised. "I saw them in Cataptrus's blade." "And you heard what Hazel said. The biggest gathering of evil spirits I have ever sensed," Jason recalled. "Yeah, sounds awesome." After battling through the underground temple of Hades, the last thing Jason wanted was to deal with more evil spirits. But the fate of the quest was at stake, and the crew of the Argo II had a big decision to make. If they chose wrong, they would fail and the entire world would be destroyed. Piper's blade, Hazel's magical senses, and Annabeth's instincts all agreed. The answer lay here in Ithaca, at the ancient place of Odysseus, where a horde of evil spirits had gathered to await Gia's orders. The plan was to sneak among them, learn what was going on, and decide the best course of action, then get out, preferably alive. Annabeth readjusted her golden bow. "I hope our disguises hold up. The suitors were nasty customers when they were alive. If they find out we're demigods, Hazel's magic will work," Piper said. Jason tried to believe that. The suitors, 100 of the greediest, evilest cutthroats who'd ever lived. When Odysseus, the Greek king of Ithaca, who went missing after the Trojan War, this mob of B-list princes had invaded the palace and refused to leave. Each one hoped to marry Queen Penelope and take over the kingdom. Odysseus managed to return in secret and slaughter them all. Your basic happy homecoming. But if Piper's visions were correct, the suitors were now back, haunting the palace where they died. Jason couldn't believe he was about to visit an actual palace of Odysseus, one of the most famous Greek heroes of all time. Then again, this whole quest had been one mind-blowing event after another. Annabeth herself had just come back from the eternal abyss, Tartarus. Given that, Jason decided maybe he shouldn't complain about being an old man. Well, he said to himself with his walking stick, if I look as old as I feel, my disguise should be perfect. Let's get going. As they climbed, sweat trickled down his neck. His calves ached. Despite the heat, he began to shiver. And try as he might, he couldn't stop thinking about his recent dreams. Ever since the House of Hades, they'd gotten more vivid. Sometimes Jason stood in an underground temple of Epirus, the giant Cletus looming over him, speaking in a chorus of disembodied voices. It took all of you together to defeat me. What will you do when the Earth Mother opens her eyes? Other times, Jason found himself on the crest of Half-Blood Hill. Gia, the Earth Mother, rose from the soil, a swirling figure of dirt, leaves, and stones. Poor child, her voice resonated across the landscape, shaking the bedrock under Jason's feet. Your father is the first among the gods, yet you are always second best to your Roman comrades, to your Greek friends, even to your family. How will you prove yourself? The worst dream had stood in the courtyard of Sonoma Wolf House. Before him stood the goddess Juno, glowing with the radiance of molten silver. Your life belongs to me, her voice thundered, an appeasement from Zeus. Jason knew he shouldn't look, but he couldn't close his eyes as Juno went supernova, revealing her true godly form. Pain seared Jason's mind. His body burned away in layers like an onion. Then the scene changed. Jason was still at Wolf House, but now he was a little boy, no more than 2 years old. A woman knelt before him, her lemony scent so familiar. Her features were watery and indistinct, but he knew her voice, bright and brittle like the thinnest layer of ice over a fast stream. I'll be back for you, dearest, she said. I will see you soon. Every time Jason woke up from that nightmare, his face was beaded with sweat. His eyes stung from tears. Nico D'Angelo had warned them. The House of Hades would stir their worst memories and make them see things and hear things from the past. Their ghosts would become restless. Jason had hoped that particular ghost would stay away, but every night the dream got worse. Now he was climbing to the ruins of a palace where an army of ghosts had gathered. That doesn't mean she'll be there, Jason told himself, but his hands wouldn't stop trembling. Every step seemed harder than the last. Almost there, Annabeth said. Let's... Boom! The hillside rumbled. Somewhere over the ridge a crowd roared in approval, like spectators in a colosseum. The sound made Jason's skin crawl. Not so long ago, he'd fought for his life in a Roman colosseum before a cheering ghostly audience. He wasn't anxious to repeat that experiment. What was that explosion? He wondered. I don't know, Peddler said, but it sounds like they're having fun. Let's go make some dead friends. So, we're going to stop there today. I know that was only one chapter,